Okay guys, so this is actually my first vlog for cosplaying. The costume I'm going to be making is Aged Amelia Pond from The Girl Who Waited in Doctor Who. This has to be one of my favourite episodes because there's so much emotion and so much drama that happens, and Matt Smith, Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill, who played the Doctor, Amy and Roy, just played it fantastically. So what happens in the episode is Amy gets trapped on this planet, which is a hospital. And the way that the hospital is set up is that there's two different time streams. Amy is in one time stream and the Doctor and Rory are in another. So when they try and rescue her, they find her, but she has actually been waiting around 40 to 50 years for her. So she's actually a little bit miffed when they find her. But as well as this, there are robots on this planet which are trying to cure her because there's been some pandemic, except that cure is lethal to humans. So she's had to defend herself for about 40 to 50 years, so even more miffed if you ask me. Aged Amy wears this really cool armour that she has made herself from bits of robots that she has destroyed, which I find is pretty badass if you ask me, which is a good reason why I'm using this one as my first cosplay blog. This will be for the Doctor Who Festival, which is happening on Saturday the 14th of November. I'm going to London for that with my mum, and I absolutely cannot wait for it. It's just going to be amazing. I may fangirl a lot. I will be vlogging this as well. When I go to London, you'll get to see me in the costume with my mum going around the festival, so hopefully you guys can have a look at that as well. So without further ado, I better get cracking on this. Also, I am actually filming this halfway through making it, so I better get back to it. But for now, thanks guys, and here's the vlog. So this is the material that I'm going to be using to make my armour. It's pretty much just craft foam sheets in A3 size. I'll be heating this up and then backing this with muslin and a mixture of PVA and fabric glue. This just strengthens the material so that it doesn't get crushed too much. I've got some cabling kind of ties, which I thought would look pretty neat to keep the armour together. I've got some chain as well, which I thought would be a good decoration. This is some fabric that I got because on Amy's mask she's got like her old shirt ripped up and tied around the headband to use for the mask. This black netting and silver netting is how I'm going to create the metallic mask. It will be backed onto these clear plastic sheets, which I hope will heat and mould to the shape that I want. Then over here we've got the headband, which I'm going to use as a base for the mask. I've got some tubing which I'm going to paint gold, and that will go on the shoulders with this metal wire. And finally, these are just a pair of leggings, pair of boots and a shirt that I got from Primark and H&M as a base for the costume. This is also a wooden sword that I have used as a previous cosplay and which I'll use for a weapon. Okay, so this is just a piece of muslin which I'm going to use to draft the pattern for the armour. There's going to be two layers of armour. There's going to be a huge front piece and a back piece, and then over the top there'll be different sections. So there'll be a panel here, a panel somewhere around here, two shoulder panels and a leg panel, and I think there will also be a back piece that will go just along here. So what I'm going to do is, using my lovely assistant Scarlett, I'm just going to pin the muslin on and then draw around the muslin, because that way I can just template it onto the craft foam and then use that piece to then strengthen it when it comes around to that next task. Okay, so what I've done here is drafted a front and back panel. This is going to be made out of the black foam that I have bought and will be underneath the main robot parts of the armour. And if we go back to Scarlett, this is how I've been drafting. I've just been placing the muslin on and pinning it in place, and then I'm now drawing on the more differently shaped parts of the armour which will be made out of the white foam. So it's going to be a bit of a jigsaw trying to work out where these are going to go, but it should look really cool hopefully because of how different the shapes are. Okay guys, so that's the pieces of the armour cut out in the fabric and drafted on the mannequin. It looks very much like a huge jigsaw piece. It's not been cut on the grain or with a seam allowance because it's going to be applied onto foam. And it's not very necessary to have these involved on the pattern. So now that these have been cut out, what I'm going to do next would be to take these pieces and trace them onto the white foam for the smaller outer pieces and the black foam for the large under pieces. These might end up being changed a little bit whilst cutting out because of neatness or because of size, etc., because I am having to work with A3 foam sheets, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so that's all the foam that's cut out now. Adjustments to the armour. I've had to crop the under armour just a bit because it didn't quite fit onto the A3 sheets, but that's not too big an issue. It doesn't affect the design or the comfort of the armour too much. I've also cut out the shoulder pads in the clear plastic that I showed at the beginning. Hopefully it will stick and heat up as planned. This piece here is the leg piece. I basically drew this on my leg straight onto the foam instead of the technique that I showed before where I drafted it on the muslin. It's a bit rough, but it's kind of looking like the sort of thing I'm wanting. Nothing too fancy and just to shape around my leg. All this was cut out on a cutting board using a craft knife, and that's the armour cut out. The next thing to do now will be to heat it up, and hopefully it will all shape to the body well. Okay guys, so this is the most important bit of when making the armour, and I'm going to refer you to the link in the description as this is where I learned how to do this side of the process. So as you can see here, this is a piece of the back armour. It's just a square that I'm going to attach to the back, nothing intricate or anything. But what I'm showing here is that to make the armour its shape, you use the heat gun on the foam, and you have to do this really carefully so that you don't burn or melt the foam to make it the shape that you want. Now this is a bit flat of course, but as you'll see in some of the shapes that I'm going to show you later, it does go into the shapes that you want. After that you then coat the back of the plate with PVA glue, and then what you do is you layer the muslin and trim it. You do this a few times and that will strengthen the fabric. And then after that, excuse me for the messy floor, over here I've started coating the outside. Now you can see a bit of the shape better in this panel. There is a more descriptive way of coating the outside. This basically seals the foam. I'm just doing it with a layer of fabric glue for time, and because it does look a bit more rugged as you'll see on the black Under Armour. Once this is dried, I then started punching holes in so that after that I can lace it together. This is the back view of the costume so far. Now as you can see, as I said, with the fabric glue, it looks rugged on the black armour, and I quite like that because obviously Amy has had to fight a lot over the decades as she's been staying on the planet. So I decided to leave that in instead of painting over it. It also gives it a bit of a rough texture, which I think adds to, again, having to deal with robots for a few decades. The Under Armour, I have glue gunned in some elastic to keep it more secure both at the sides and at the shoulder. I've also done this on the leg piece. Now it was a bit tricky glue gunning it in. You may have to use some strong glue to keep it secure as well. But I'm going to be taking some with me to London just in case it breaks on the journey because I have a long way to travel. Don't be too worried if it's quite flimsy. It will look a lot more stiffer when wearing it. But yeah, that is the leg piece actually finished. Okay guys, so that's the main body armour done. As you can see, I've just laced it with that threading cable that I got from Hobbycraft. It was quite simple to do, just punched holes in, made sure that the holes were clear, and then just threaded it through and made sure it looked right on the mannequin. That is the leg piece down there as well, that is also complete. So this is the front view and that's the back view. So yeah, that's the first part of the vlog done. Like and subscribe to the channel and I will get back to you soon. Okay, thanks, bye bye.